what is lift? It's not something that you get in and go up and down. Well, it is. But apart from that, LIFT stands for the Local Improvement Finance Trust. And it's an initiative that was started, and I can say this, at the turn of the century by the Department of Health, principally to encourage the development of facilities and investment in primary care estates. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with perhaps some GP practices being in converted houses, dental surgeries being above chip shops, all the kinds of things that promote good health that we're obviously not aspiring to in the 21st century. Of course, the other main initiative behind LIF is to access private money to help the building of infrastructure. So, what does LIFT actually involve? There's lots of myths and legends around LIFT, and I'm slightly worried that I probably created quite a few of the myths and legends around LIFT. But basically, it involves the formation of a joint venture company, which is called a LIFCO. And there are 3 shareholders in that LIFCO, one of whom is the private sector, and they own 60% of the LIFT company. The other is the local health economy, which is principally a PCT, a primary care trust, and they own 20% of the company. And the other is a company called Community Health Partnerships, which is who I represent, and they are actually quite an anomaly because they're a private company but wholly owned by the Department of Health. So you can look at the shareholding of a LIFT company as a 60-40 PPP. And the LIFT company is actually formed for 25 years. So what does the LIFT company actually have the right to do? The LIFT company has the right, when it wins the contract, to offer, it has an exclusive right to offer to PCTs partnering and project services for major capital projects. And partnering services include things like estates and facilities management, estate planning, property acquisition. And the whole purpose of this is to enable it to work with the customers, predominantly the PCTs, to identify, specify and develop project proposals at a very early stage. Important to note that it can also offer these services to other participants in the local area, but it has no exclusive right. And I think sometimes that's a bit of a myth, that if you sign up and you're not a PCT to LIFT, you're signing away your 25-year capital projects to LIFT. You're not. So, for any of you who know my colleague Tim Challis, this is a famous slide that Tim always presents. Tim is a quantity surveyor, I'm an accountant, so there'll be a slightly different take on perhaps how Tim would present this. But at the start of a project, when you're really just thinking about what you're going to do, the potential of that project is infinite, and nothing is definite. So all of the opportunities are there. In a traditional procurement, often the partner who is going to build the building for you comes on at quite a late stage where you have narrowed down the potential of the project and actually much more is definite. In a design and build procurement, your architect comes on board sooner, but your ideas are much more formulated. In terms of LIFT, the whole idea of the LIFT company is that it works with you from the start. So it should allow really the maximum to be gained in terms of being there at the start, allowing the maximum potential to be gained from that scheme. Now, I'm sure you're all aware that, as with a number of the other procurements we've talked about today, once a LIFT building is built, it is a contract between the tenant and the LIFT company for that building, and that's typically something called a lease plus agreement. And it's more than a traditional lease, and it's not whole list costs, it's whole life costs are included within that rent payment.